Hi, my name is Angie Ferris. I'm a fourth grade teacher in upstate New York in one of our city school districts. My CrossFit gym, it's in the garage of my trainer, Robbie Ortiz, and it's called Bert's Box Core Strength and Fitness. This video isn't really my reflection. I wrote my reflection, and after I submitted it, I realized that there was a whole lot more to this for me. This is more of my comeback story. When I decided to sign up for this challenge, I had been back to working out for about a year. I had been gone from any type of physical activity for over 8 years. And I started my comeback at Sky Zone Indoor Trampoline Park, of all places. My road to fitness, it's not pretty. I don't think anybody's is. Mine was pretty ugly, and it was filled with a lot of stuff. So I hadn't worked out, like I said, in over 8 years. In 2005, I started having some weird health issues. I would get a swollen joint here, a swollen joint there, stiffness, just constantly tired, weird stuff. Usually it was in my fingers, wrists, toes, and ankles. This was going on for over 2 years. One of the last major things that happened was I had a miscarriage. And my doctor just kept saying, well, take some Advil. It's bursitis, or it's this, or it's that. And he really didn't offer me any solutions. When I was on vacation, a doctor diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. And I knew what it was. My mother-in-law had RA, and by the time I had met her, she had significant damage in her fingers, her toes, her elbows, her wrists, ankles. I mean, you name it, it was destroyed by this disease. So that was really my only exposure to it, and that was what I thought my future was going to look like. I assumed that eventually that's where I would be. My kids were pretty young at the time. My son had just turned 7 and my daughter was 3, so he was working on independence. She still needed me to do a lot of stuff for her. It got to a point in my life where I could barely take care of my kids. My husband was taking up a lot of slack when he was home because I just couldn't do it. In the mornings, getting them ready for school, if it wasn't for my son, I don't know what I'd do. He was tying my daughter's shoes, helping her get dressed, buttoning buttons, zippering zippers, brushing her hair, putting it in little ponytails for her, because I just couldn't do it. There were days I couldn't dress myself. You go through this. I was 38 years old, and I should be perfectly healthy, able to do all this stuff, and I couldn't do it. And I really started to feel like a burden on the people around me. The worst part of everything was I couldn't play with my kids. It was hard socially. I told my friends, and some of them knew because they knew my mother-in-law. So they got it, they understood, but a lot of them didn't, and I found myself pushing myself away from people because I didn't have the energy to hang out and go out and do things with anybody. But the worst part of everything was that I couldn't play with my kids. I couldn't pick my daughter up. I kind of went from doing things with everybody to not doing anything at all, just sitting around. Exercise was the last thing on my mind, obviously. There were days where I could barely walk. Just getting out of bed took every bit of energy that I had. Every single day I was in pain, I was tired, I was miserable, depressed. I didn't even like being around myself. The one person that I wanted to run away from, I couldn't. I went through medication after medication. Nothing worked. The side effects were definitely worse than the benefits. It was losing my hair. It was rough. It got to a point where my rheumatologist was thinking about pulling me out of work. At the time, the school that I worked in had stairs and no elevator, and even though my classroom was on the first floor, my kids still had to go upstairs for things. We still had to go downstairs to get outside. They had to go into the basement for lunch and gym. So it was difficult. They were talking about possibly getting me a walker, telling me that I was going to end up in a wheelchair. That's not something you want to hear when you're 38 years old and you've got 2 kids. Yeah. I felt like I was in a movie, watching a movie of myself, and there was nothing that I could do to stop it. It's like that proverbial train wreck. You just can't stop watching it, but there's nothing you can do to make it not happen. My life, my social life, my health, it was all going down the crapper. I just really felt completely lost. And the one thing that I had always turned to was some form of exercise. When I was growing up, I grew up playing soccer. That was my thing. Grew up on a soccer field. I played in the summer. I played in high school. And it was always there for me when I needed it the most. And I didn't have anything like that this time. And I would have loved to have done some kind of exercise, but again, not being able to walk most days kind of puts the kibosh on anything you want to do. So this miserableness went on for about a year, and a girl at work came up to me one day, and she's like, hey, Ange, my allergist is doing a study on a new RA medication that they're looking for people for. And this drug, there's some different classes of RA meds, and this is in the biologic class. All biologics to that point were IV infusion. So you would go every couple of weeks and you would sit in a room with the big bag of chemo drugs hooked up to you, and you'd take a few hours to get in, and you'd be on your way till a couple of weeks later. And I never wanted to go that route because they do cause so much other damage. So when I saw that this biologic was a pill, I'm like, well, let's give it a try. I went to the doctors, did all what I needed to do, and qualified for the study. And again, they said, we think we want to take you out of work because the RA was so bad. I was later diagnosed with moderate to severe, but when you have this disease, there's really moderate and severe should not be in the same category. Mine was, it's as bad as it can get, really. So they asked if I wanted to go out of work for a while, and I said no, and they wanted to give me a cane or a walker, and I said no. I couldn't do it. So anyways, I went through all the processes, and I got on the medication. I was accepted into the study, and I really didn't have that high of a hope for it because nothing else had worked up until then. But, it was just one more thing to try. What was the worst that was going to happen is it wasn't going to work. But I really wanted my life back. And it had been gone for quite a while. So the day that I found out that I qualified, when I got that phone call, I was really excited. So I went in, got my drug, and when I went in there, they do what's called a joint count. So they checked all my joints, and I had 60 plus joints in my body. So like all my fingers, and all the joints in my fingers and toes, my wrists, my ankles, elbows, knees, you name it, shoulders. They were all swollen. My fingers looked like sausages. My toes looked like sausages. I had cankles, and it wasn't even from water retention. It was just from all the joint swelling. Everything hurt. I honestly, to this day, don't even know how I got from my car into the office that day because I couldn't walk. I couldn't lift my legs or anything to walk. I just kind of shuffled my way in there. So they gave me my meds. I started them, and 2 weeks after I started the meds, they said I had to come back to do a check. And I started noticing a difference. When I went back in 2 weeks, every single joint that was swollen was back to normal. I had no pain. I walked up the 3 flights of stairs to the doctor's office. I finally had some sort of hope that I could live with this disease and not die from it, because up until then I really was convinced that I was just going to die from it. So I decided that I wanted to get back into exercising. That was the first thing that came to me. Like, I need to do something. I gained so much weight when I couldn't do anything. So, I needed to make a plan. I started feeling like my old self again. I was hanging out with friends again, playing with my kids, taking care of my kids, doing things that I just couldn't do. And in the grand scheme of things, when you look at 1 year out of 38 years of life, it doesn't seem like a long time. But when you look at it in terms of 1 year of not being able to do all the things that make you who you are, it's like an eternity. So I started walking. I got a treadmill, started walking on that, a little bit of jogging here and there. But it was getting hard on my knees. So I'm like, well, I'll try something else. So I went from exercise routine to exercise routine. I tried some different Jillian Michaels things, P90X, Power 90, yoga. The yoga was good, and I still do that. Not as often as I would like to. But the other stuff was just so hard on my joints. And, after a month or so, I would just get achy, and I would stop and switch to something else. But I wanted more. I knew that I needed to have more to lose weight. So in December of 2013, I was trolling Facebook, and I saw somebody had something posted for this new place called Sky Zone Indoor Trampoline Park that was opening up, and they had fitness classes. So I looked into the fitness classes, and there was already a Sky Zone in Buffalo, New York. So I checked out their page and read the description of the classes, and it sounds like fun, sounds like something I could do. I want to try it. So I signed up for their first Saturday class, which is how I met Robbie. He was a trainer at one of the CrossFit boxes in the city here in Rochester, and he took a job at Sky Zone also on Saturdays. And it was great. I had a blast. He, right from the beginning, very, very patient with all of us, because most of us, we were new to this. But was just very impeccable as far as what he expected from us. He does a great job. So I really started to learn how to use my body to improve itself. The first 6 months that I was there, I'm not sure how much weight I lost, because I was building muscle at the same time, not even realizing it. But I went from a size 18 to a size 10, 12 in 6 months. And it was a fantastic feeling. I felt great. I was starting to look better. Didn't know if I'd ever get back to pre-baby weight, but I didn't care, because I felt good. I found something that I could do. I could work my hardest while I was there and not have any impact on my joints. My sister had been doing CrossFit for about 1.5 years during all this time, and she'd been trying to talk me into doing it. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't think of something that I could do. I didn't think it would be smart to do it. And this past October, Robbie opened up a little gym in his garage. It's something he's always wanted to do. And my sister's, just try it. And, he's like, it's free. Your first class is free. Just come, see what you think, and we'll go from there. So I went, fell in love. I just loved it. I didn't realize how strong I had gotten over the past year, and things that I didn't think I was going to be able to do, I could do. After 2 months, my PR deadlift was 185. My sister, like I said, had been doing CrossFit for about 1.5 years, and hers is 170. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to myself, but I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be luckier to have a trainer like Robbie, who's pushed me to do things that I didn't think I can do, many times I didn't want to do. He puts up with my RA craziness, because there are times where it does flare up still, and I know that I've been too hard on my body and I have to ease back a little bit, but he's really good about keeping me on track and making sure I need to do what I need to do. In the past 4 months that I've been with him, I've lifted, pushed, pulled, just moved more weight than I ever thought I could. And I just say, nothing feels better than dripping with sweat after doing something that you know that there's people around you your age who just can't do it. This challenge, I was a little nervous to sign up for it, but and I almost didn't, but I'm glad I did. It gave me confidence to do things that otherwise I'd never do. Like, just signing up for it made me feel stronger. I'm going to be signing up for the Festivus Games that are coming to Rochester. I'm probably going to do barbells for boobs with my sister, who is a breast cancer survivor. I still have more weight to lose, and I have more muscle and strength to gain. Before, I thought of myself in terms of a person who had to lose weight. Now I'm thinking of myself in terms of a person who needs to build more muscle. It's huge. It's huge. I learned a lot about myself in this challenge. I learned that my skinny is not a size 3. It's not a number. My skinny is strong. I want to be strong. If I'm skinny in the process, that's great, but I want to be strong, because I know that skinny is not going to keep me going in life. Strength will. I've learned how to breathe fire. I have learned that I can do anything people half my age can do, that I can keep up with people half my age. I did it last Sunday. My trainer, Robbie, had a partner workout with him and one of his friends, and his girlfriend and myself were partners, and all 3 of them are, in their 20s. I'm 44. My weight wasn't as heavy as them, but I was able to do what they did and work with my partner, and we finished strong and not behind the guys either. So that was good. I've learned that burpees are not my enemy, especially after being one of the benchmark winners. I really dreaded that workout. I hate burpees. I just don't like them. And, but I realized that I can do them, and they are improving. I look back from when I first started this whole crazy journey a year and a half ago, and they really are better than they were in the beginning. I can do more in a minute. So something that I need to personally grow on. I've learned that there is no bigger liar than fear, and I spent a long time living in fear of what I couldn't do, what was going to happen to me, what was going to happen to my kids. I've learned that I can take any problem I have, anything, put it on a bar, and take care of it from there. And you guys wanted to know in this process what our greatest victories are, and honestly I have to say my greatest victories are my kids. They are the best things that I've ever done in my life. They'll always, no matter what, they'll always be my greatest victories. My greatest personal win in this whole challenge was being one of the benchmark winners. I did not expect that. I didn't expect that some of my scores and rankings would be as high as they were. I guess I learned a little bit better how to believe in myself too. My greatest comeback, it's still happening. My greatest comeback is day by day continuing to drag myself out of the clutches of RA and keeping myself out of there. I'm looking forward to another LuRong challenge. And I thank you guys for allowing non-affiliated athletes to be in this. It has been a interesting 3.5, 4 weeks, and I'm excited to do the benchmark challenge and see how much I've improved. Cheers!